And if you look at that, we've had fairly consistent enrollment increases over the past
There we go.
12, 15 years. This year was, we need the, there we go. This year we were down slightly. Part of that, last year we had a couple dual enrollment courses where in high school they could also take an honors class. And probably because of the problems that we had adjusting everything with COVID, those two classes got dropped. But we're doing okay. I do need to tell you that there are some really distressing, there are some schools this year that have been really hit hard with enrollment decreases. MTSU has been steady. We actually gained just a few students overall, but the Chronicle Fire Education just had an issue out projecting as much as 10 or 20% decreases for some schools next year, and we're still trying to work out how to adjust our recruitment accordingly. Probably as good a measure of enrollment are the number of theses, and that also has been very steady, sort of a steady increase. Some of this, if you go back historically, some of it is when the first 20 Buchanan students started kicking in, and then another is the two groups of transfer students that we've had. But 85 or thereabouts theses a year, pretty much enough to keep all of us busy. We do, of course, 2 sessions with them, one where they outline their project and we work with them on that, and then the thesis itself. We've actually had to do the theses over the last semester. Almost all of them have been done through Zoom. For some reason, I don't have it here today, but I've been keeping a little bell on my desk so that even if they don't hear the outer bells, they can hear us with our little celebration here. And then they've come by subsequently, of course, to pick up their thesis. But that's those figures are good. Probably the best slide on here and is the slide on retention. Dr. Burns, our provost, just sent out a memo yesterday. If we can get to the next slide, Susan. He sent a notice yesterday indicating that MTSU as a whole had increased within, I believe, the last year, its retention rate by 3%, which is sort of extraordinary given that, a lot of people have wanted to drop out because, they're not as satisfied with the, having some courses online as being able to have all of them on campus. But I think we probably, a 98% retention rate is probably as high as any that you'd find at the university. So we have had to do a number of adaptations, if we can go to our next slide, because of COVID. I think the majority of classes on campus as a whole are now online. And there are about 4 different categories, 5 different categories of courses, most of which will have a mix. We have our science lab downstairs, which can only hold 20, and we don't have room for social distancing. Almost every class in that building will have, or in that room, they'll have 10 there one day and 10 watching, and then the next day it'll be another 10 with the 10 that were there previously watching. So we've done that with some of our classes, but probably our biggest adjustment is the amphitheater seats about 70 students. And if you social distance, I think we discovered that we can get about 22 students and an instructor in there. And so because we're not having the number of regular lectures and other sort of visiting things that we would do in a normal semester, we've opened that room to any honors class that wants to use it. So we've had a fair number of classes, with 15 or 20 students that have been able to meet there, and pretty much, 8 in the morning till 5 or 6 at night, that room has been utilized. And the university has brought technology in each of the classrooms so that if we would have, or if we have a student who is on quarantine, the lecture is still captured for them, and they have ways that they can electronically participate. So that's probably been the biggest, change that we've had over the last year. We continue to have a good number of students applying for and receiving national and international awards. We got 3 Fulbright winners, which ties our top record on this. I'm sorry. Yes?
I'm clapping. That's very good.
Oh, okay, good. Unfortunately, we do not yet know which of these are going to be able to go. It all depends on what's happening in the countries where they're applying and whether they require us to quarantine before we get there. So, we're keeping our fingers crossed. And I know Laura's on here. I believe we have like 13 different applicants for next year. One of the surprising results actually of coronavirus is that we have nationwide, there's been a large increase in the number of students who are applying for Fulbrights. So we'll see, sort of how that's handled. By the way, something else that those of you who, don't read the Chronicle religiously like I do, but one of the things that's happening for next year is a lot of humanities programs are closing down. They're not accepting any new PhD students. And the theory is that a lot of their students are going to have to take an extra year or two to finish, and they want to make sure that they have funds for everybody. So this is going to be a, sort of a bizarre year when our people graduate. We can try to hook them up with a scholarship, but they may get a Fulbright that they can't accept, or that won't have them, and it's possible that the graduate schools they want to go to are not accepting. So we're probably going to have some rough waters here for a few semesters, or at least the next semester or two. We have a number of other fellowship and winners. Notice at the bottom there that National Science Foundation, these REUs, typically 8 or 10 weeks in the summer where they pay students to do research. We got a record number of students this year, and Molly and Elizabeth, I think, Laura, help me with this, we're about the only two that were able to do theirs virtually, but many of the others, even though they had been accepted, they weren't able to take them.
We had about 4 that were able to do it.
Okay, good. Good. The DAAD Rise, that's one. Jared, one of our star students, our Goldwater winner there, he was not able to take the DAAD Rise, which should have taken him to Germany this summer. Again, these are not issues unique to MTSU, but pretty much everywhere. And then, as has been the case almost every year in the past several, the university gives out about 4 or 5 awards. Well, I don't know, depends on which ones you count. 4 major awards every year, and this year we got 3 of them, and that's been pretty standard. We're real proud of each of these. Gabriella, some of you know, last year got the statewide public service award. And then I always like to highlight our staff a little bit. We have 3 advisors, all of whom you'll see are now classified, have gone through the mastery program certificate. Susan got an outstanding award from Omicron Delta Kappa for helping lead our circle. So we're really proud of all of those. Student scholarships, this again is a little bit different year than we've had before. And I haven't been able to sort through all of these. Some of these scholarships that we gave for study abroad were not able to be spent this year because most of the study abroad programs are canceled. We have one program that we're hoping maybe for New Zealand in May, but that's dependent both on what happens here and what happens there. But students are still interested, and as soon as we can get back on this bandwagon, certainly we plan to do so. And then just to remind you, in the last slide, these are, and I think all of you, if you should have gotten a program. If you didn't, we can try to dig up one for you. But we tried to list some of the award winners here, and I know in some cases, at least, we always encourage students to send a note to you thanking you. And I know that many of them have, and many have personally come by to thank us. And
John, why
Yes.
is Hannah's name in red?
Um,
Because that's her in the picture.
yes. Okay.
I
Okay,
think-
okay.
And I think the names are red on the other side because those students are speaking today.
No, they're pictured. Their names are red if they were in the
Yeah.
picture.
I didn't explain that earlier. I'm not sure I even knew, but
I just
yes.
wondered if we could-
that way you can put a face with it. And then the last slide, I think we've mentioned some of this, but I gotta give another shout out to Katie, who's if any of you have any political clout, she's under consideration as a judge for a federal court in Knoxville. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for her. And then June, I'll hold up a copy of her book. I read it about a week ago. Learned quite a bit, particularly about, I didn't know that much about the Crusades, and I'm working right now on a book on the cross in American politics. So it was sort of taking up the cross was not a term that I was familiar with. It had been used by the Crusades. So I managed to gain something of particular value to me for that. So that's the presentation as I'm going to do it. I think I got 2 minutes right now for questions, but we can do more. We'll have a time at the end. And otherwise, we'll go on to our students.
John, what do you think is going to happen with the trend for spring and for next year with enrollment? Obviously, enrollment's a big issue, and the reach of the Honors College. I just looked at the magazine today. I got my packet of information this morning. It came. Thank you, Susan. Everything worked out, and I mean, I first of all, I got to tell you, the work that you and the faculty and the staff have done, it certainly exceeds my expectations as the donor of the building. It's fantastic, but obviously Mo is better. So I just wondered, are you all putting more emphasis in recruiting or marketing or something to drive your census? The university census, it looks like, was up about a point.
It was.
Over fall of last year, but most of that came in the graduate programs. I think the undergraduate program was actually down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the classical story of you don't need to outrun the bear, you just need to outrun other schools we're doing okay. We're really having a problem right now at the university level with recruiting. Susan and I sat in on a True Blue tour the other night. The audio was in and out. We didn't have anybody join us afterward. And, typically we'd meet 20 people at one of these. And I know the university is working on that. We have had 3 or 4 sessions already with Zoom, with community colleges, with, telling people about our transfer fellowships. But I'm just not sure. The latest in the Chronicle is showing, anticipated increases and decreases in many places by 10%. But, if a vaccine is in place, which, I think many people are expecting that maybe in the spring, I would guess by fall, we'll be a little better. The big question we have right now is with the scholarships. We have very firm deadlines of December 1st for freshmen and February 15th for transfers. And I think what we'll do is if we find that applications are way down, probably the university will extend that. I wouldn't tell anybody to count on that happening, but that's certainly a possibility. And let me say, I see Tandra is here. Didn't get to welcome her earlier, so welcome her. I think what we'll do is go ahead to the students. We have, again, 6 students. One is going to do a performance. So we've divided his into half, but we're going to start with Maria Height, who's a science major. So Maria.
Hello, everyone. Like Dr. Vile said, my name is Maria Height, and I'm a current sophomore at MTSU. I've lived in Laverne, Tennessee ever since I was 1 year old. And as I grew up, I always had a passion for learning. And so in high school, I had the opportunity to dual enroll at MTSU, including taking an honors course. And so this was my first main exposure to MTSU and its honors college. And I just had an overall great experience. I loved the atmosphere and students and professors. And so this really helped me decide that MTSU was the place for me. And so my major is a little unique in the fact that it's connected with the pre-medical program I'm a part of. So it's a relatively new program. I'm part of its inaugural class. It's called the Medical School Early Acceptance Program, and it's partnered through Meharry Medical College. So basically, it's a 7-year accelerated program. So I'll complete my undergraduate studies at MTSU in 3 years, and then I will go straight to medical school at Meharry for 4 years. And the main program is to produce more primary care physicians in rural areas in Tennessee. And this mission really resonates with me because your zip code shouldn't determine the quality of healthcare you receive. But unfortunately, in many parts of the United States, including Tennessee, this is the case. And I think that physicians should really be where they're needed most. And that's what this program really aims to do. So I'm very honored to be a part of it. I'm also minoring in psychology. I've always been interested in how the mind works. And I think that it's particularly relevant to medicine. You know, as we learn more about mental health, we continue to see that it's just as important, if not more important, than physical health. So when I came to MTSU, I knew that I still wanted to be a part of the Honors College. And so I've really enjoyed taking honors classes. I think that the small class sizes have helped me get classmates and my professors a little bit better, and also just have more in-depth conversations that comes from being in more of a small group setting. And I've also been able to participate in Honors College events. And there I've been able to meet many different students and professors from all kinds of backgrounds that are associated with my major. And I think that it's really important to just be exposed to all kinds of academic interests. And so this year, I've had the opportunity to be an honor student ambassador. And so we really try to create community within the Honors College by meeting with prospective and current students, as well as creating events that try to encourage student engagement. So this year with the current pandemic, it's been a little bit more difficult because we still wanted to create fun events, but also prioritize safety. And so this has really pushed us to think more creatively. And I think that being an ambassador has really helped me hone my leadership and teamwork and communication skills. In addition to being a student ambassador, I also been involved on campus in other areas. Last year, I was part of the Student Government Association's Freshman Council, and I'm a current member of the Student National Medical Association and Ambassadors of Borderless Arts. I'm also working part-time this semester as a biology tutor. But during my time at MTSU, I think some of my short-term goals include conducting research and also studying abroad. I'm crossing my fingers for the New Zealand trip this summer. And then in the long term though, I hope to become a family medicine physician and practice in medically underserved areas in Tennessee. But I think above and beyond my career goals are my personal goals of being a lifelong learner and a global citizen. And I think that the Honors College really reinforces the idea that learning is something that should never stop. It's a lifelong pursuit. There's always going to be something new to learn or new to experience. But I'm really excited to see where the next couple of years takes me at MTSU. Thank you.
Maria, are you aware that there's a state legislator who's a teacher at MTSU, and in conjunction with MTSU, they've just done something for rural healthcare, since you were talking about medical and rural and that kind of stuff? Are you aware that that's a program that's just getting kicked off at MTSU?
I don't think that I've heard of it yet, but I would definitely be interested to learn more about that.
It was an initiative of President McPhee's, and I don't know who the off the top of my head, I don't remember who the MTSU professor is that's the legislator that
Charlie
kind of,
Baum, I think.
to say that again, John?
Charlie Baum.
I think that's right. Somebody want to introduce Maria to him, or maybe Sydney can hook her up, but somebody.
I'll introduce her. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, there you go. Great, Susan. Just a thought. I didn't mean to interrupt, but there's
No.
another opportunity that's right there you can take advantage of.
Well,
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Okay, Dale.
Got it written down.
Yeah, Dale is our next student presenter, and he's the one who's going to, he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, and then at the end of this, he's going to do a little bit of music for us. So Dale?
Sahoshifo Dale Shackelford. Shikashi Yancha Chihata Saya. Oklahoma Bla Ayandalito NTSU Ayalachi Yancha Taloa Ikbi Saholisochi. Taloa Ikbi Sanayopachi. Hello, everybody. My name is Dale Shackelford. I'm from Oklahoma. Originally, I'm Chickasaw and Choctaw, and I go here to MTSU for audio production. That's my major here, and it's really because I love the creation of music. I love to make music, to write music, and I'm transitioning into learning to produce and to engineer, just as a passion of mine. Like I mentioned, I'm majoring now as an undergrad in audio production with a minor in Sorry, that's what I'm going to move to. Right now, I'm in entertainment technology as a minor. However, I'm planning to switch to entrepreneurship soon, as that kind of helps my career goals of owning and operating my own studio. However, this semester, I also began the audio productions bachelor's to MFA accelerated program. So I've begun taking some master's classes this semester. This is, however, only my second year here at MTSU. I'm one of the transfer fellows for the Honors College. And I'm very thankful for that. That's one of the many benefits that I've received from the Honors College. Scholarships like that are the reason that I'm able to go to college. That's one of the main reasons that drew me here to MTSU, as well as just the outstanding audio production program, which oddly enough I'd heard about for quite a while when I was kind of looking and searching, and while I was still living in Oklahoma. I'd heard that there was a college in Tennessee that provided audio production, that had that as a program, but no one was ever able to give me any more than it's somewhere in Tennessee, and I guess I was terrible at using Google because I couldn't find it. But I eventually learned the name of the college actually from a man who owned a pawn shop in Norman, Oklahoma. It's kind of an odd way to find things, but it started there and it went forward. I was able to take advantage of the academic common market, as Oklahoma doesn't have anything of substance for audio production, and then was able to apply for the transfer fellowship. And those are just kind of some of the bits about myself as a student, and why I chose MTSU. Really, everything just kind of seemed to align right. Everything kind of worked out more perfect than I could have expected. And since I've been here, I've loved it. I've loved being a part of the Honors College, not just for the scholarships and things like that, but also because of the personal connections that have been made here. Friends of both fellow students and of faculty, of teachers, of the process of working on a thesis project, which, as was mentioned, I'll speak about later on today. But all those things have been really, really kind of a blessing for me here at MTSU in the Honors College. And while it takes up a lot of my time to do these different aspects, I don't regret making any of those decisions. They've been very, very good for me, and I think hopefully I'm able to give back some. And I'm happy to be able to do events such as today, just to be able to give back a little bit of what's been given to me. That's a little bit about myself as a student.
Okay, very good. Hannah, I think, is next.
Yes. Hi, y'all. My name is Hannah Salima. I'm a triple major with French, International Relations, and Criminal Justice, and then I minor in German and University Honors. I have a great interest in security and global affairs, so I plan to join the U.S. Foreign Service as a diplomatic security special agent. to pursue this career, one has to have multicultural communication skills and a firm understanding of world history and current events. Because world history and current events impact the future and if it impacts a particular country, how that has a ripple effect in the United States or Americans living abroad. So when I'm applying for this position, the U.S. Foreign Service really looks for international experience. And so when I was researching universities when I was in high school, MTSU caught my eye because of its ample study abroad opportunities. I saw so many different programs all across the world studying all sorts of subjects, and MTSU offers many faculty-led programs where an MTSU professor goes with MTSU students. That gives students who may have never been abroad or more nervous to study abroad extra support, which I really appreciated when I first studied abroad. Additionally, MTSU offers exchanges for more long-term programs and then provider programs, which gives more independent students every avenue to study abroad. And this is why I chose MTSU, because I knew I needed to go abroad. I knew I needed to gain the international experience in order to make me competitive for my future career. And I've been very fortunate that MTSU not only offers so many different programs to fit me, but it is extremely active in providing support for students who want to study internationally. The Education Abroad Office and the Honors College has sat down with me multiple times to discuss opportunities, and I have sent them, I don't even remember how many emails about particular programs I was interested in over the years that I've been at MTSU. But without fail, someone has sat down with me and has worked through the programs to make sure I can get on these programs. And this often means funding. As a middle-class student, I obviously cannot afford to study abroad all these different times I've gone. And so what MTSU and particularly Honor College provides is many scholarships to study abroad and other scholarships that can be used for study abroad. As a testament to this, I've been abroad 7 different times, which I think may be a school record. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what I've been told. So throughout my time at MTSU, I've been able to go to France for French language immersion. I went with the Honors College to Thailand for Thai culture and religion and art, Senegal to study in depth of Senegalese history, Israel for advanced comparative politics, Russia for US and Russian international relations, Germany to study politics of the EU. And then I went back to Israel and also to Jordan to complete an independent study of Israeli security and Russian influence in the Middle East. So with all these amazing programs that I've been on and that I've loved and grown so much personally and academically on, this costs a lot of money. And so the biggest thing that I've loved about the Honors College is just how much they will and has helped me find and apply for scholarships to cover the financial aspect of study abroad. For example, when I went to Russia, I met with Miss Laura Clippard from the Honors College, and I was told about a scholarship opportunity with Phi Kappa Phi, which is an honor society. I had known about Phi Kappa Phi, but I had never been a member, and I didn't really know that they offered different kinds of scholarship opportunities. And so that was something that was so important to sit down with her with, because she told me about these scholarship opportunities and encouraged me to apply. And she read so many drafts of my essay, and even had a meeting with me and basically a small interview to get to know me, so that when I wrote this essay and I had left out something, she could remind me, hey, didn't you mention this? This would be really important to put in. And so that kind of helped me grow in writing essays and improve my writing ability. So this has helped me tremendously, because writing essays about yourself, at least for me, can be challenging and almost daunting at times. And to get this outside support from the Honors College and advising has been very beneficial. And not just Mrs. Clippard either, who's been so many Zoom calls even this semester with me. Other Honors College staff have read my drafts of essays and given me feedback. And that makes my essays the best that they can be, which I wouldn't have had the opportunity were I not with the Honors College. So I'm definitely so thankful that I've been able to learn and grow from working with the Honors College. So now when I go and apply for scholarships, which I am applying for scholarships overseas for my graduate program for graduate studies, I have this understanding of how to write essays, and I have noticed my improvement. And that has boosted my confidence when I go and write these essays. So needless to say, I appreciate everything the Honors College has done and the Education Abroad Office has done to allow me to fully pursue my academic and personal goals. In fact, when I came back from studying abroad, I joined the Global Ambassador Program, of which I've been a part of for about 3 years now. I joined when I was a freshman in college, and I absolutely adore this program because I can encourage other students to go abroad and tell them how much support the Honors College actually provides for them to pursue these other, pursue international studies. And because the Honors College wants you to go abroad, they want you to gain that international experience, and they want you to develop these critical skill sets. And so I've noticed how much they emphasize providing this support for students and helping them apply for scholarships. And it's a great source of fun for me to share that with fellow students. In fact, I even co-founded a club at MTSU, Student Society for International Education, which brings together international students and American students who either been abroad or just interested in global affairs to build cultural understanding, which has been really useful in the time of the pandemic because no one's able to go overseas. And so to bring all these people together and discuss politics, religion, we've held a trivia night, conversational meetings. We even have a Middle East analyst coming to guest speak virtually with the club. And so that has really helped students kind of get that sense of international efforts while being at home when they have to be. And I wouldn't have been able to do all this without the Honors College and the Education Abroad Office empowering me and supporting me and the club through the process of navigating everything through this pandemic. So I've been able to accomplish so much with the Honors College, and I do not regret my decision to join the Honors College or coming to MTSU because that support has really allowed me to go abroad 7 different times, which is very, I can't believe that I've done it. And so I'm just very, 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 very grateful. Thank you.
Hannah, do you know Dr. Messier, who's on the Zoom call with us? Do you know him?
I do not.
Ron, are you going back to Morocco anytime? Are you going to try one more trip? You're muted, Ron. You're muted, Ron.
Yeah, well, my hope is to. Of course, travel restrictions to Morocco right now are very, very strong. I mean, it's just impossible to go.
But would you take an MTSU student if you could?
Well, I'm hoping to be able to go either in March or April. I mean, if travel restrictions are open by then.
Hannah, you need to get Dr. Vile or Dean Vile to introduce you to. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, I speak some French, and I know they speak French and Arabic there, so I'll have to brush up on some Arabic language skills, but that would be amazing. I've always wanted to go to Morocco.
Ron is a special guy. He is a special guy, and your whole educational experience and exposure to that culture will be forever changed if you spend a little time with Ron, even if you don't get on the plane.
Don't doubt it.
I should have mentioned that, Ron, you have a book coming out very soon, right?
I do, yeah.
The Pope and the Astronomer? What's the name?
The Map Maker and the Pope.
Okay, Map Maker and the Pope, okay.
So the Map Maker is a Muslim scientist, and of course, what makes the Pope fit into this story is that he studied in the Islamic world before becoming Pope.
Very good. Our former deans continue to set a very high standard for the rest of us. Okay, our next student is Jared. So we'll turn the floor over to him.
Hi, I'm Jared Frazier, and I originally was born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I don't remember it, but I was there for about a year, and then I moved to California with my father, lived there for 8 years, and then I have been, and so I was 8 or 9 around that time, and I've been in Tennessee, Spring Hill, Tennessee, for the past 12 years. I think I'm 20 at this point. And I, honestly, the senior year of high school, I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go to college. Neither of my parents had formal education. My dad, after serving in the military actively for 6 years, did online school, and my mother never finished college. And so I didn't have much guidance, and so it was very in the back of my mind up until my senior year. And a friend of mine, who Dean Vile I'm sure knows very well, Benjamin Koulis and Diana Koulis. Diana Koulis, his mother, suggested that I apply for the Buchanan Fellowship, which, if you are not familiar, is a fellowship that is offered here through the Honors College that provides full tuition and a number of other benefits to 20 incoming freshmen. And so I applied to it. I didn't think I would get it. Fortunately, I did. And that's really what brought me here, because the biggest pull for me to come here was that financial incentive and that opportunity. And I didn't know what to expect coming to MTSU. It was never talked about too much in my high school. And honestly, anything that I had heard outside of high school had not been too positive. And I was extremely surprised and very pleasantly surprised to hear or to realize that that was in fact not true, that MTSU was a wonderful institution, and that the professors here and the activities that are here and the opportunities that are here are quite extensive. And so when I came here, I decided to study biochemistry. I was good at science and math in high school, and I was like, well, what do you do when you're good at that? I guess you just go be a doctor. And fortunately, I realized that you didn't have to do that. And because I realized that I didn't much like biology, nor working with living organisms, so that's not very conducive to being a doctor. And so, and then I switched to chemistry and computer science. And my research for the past year and a half has been really, I guess a year is what it's been, has been on quantum materials and a number of other inorganic things. And so I picked chemistry and computer science because I foresee myself pursuing a PhD in the future in either chemistry or computer science. I'm not really sure yet, but at least on quantum materials, because that's what I would like to research. And I love teaching. And in fact, I am a tutor here. That is one of the extracurricular activities that I do. I'm trying to think, what else do I do? Well, so it's chemistry. Well, yes, the scholarships, of course. Dean Weil mentioned these before, the DAAD RISE, the MSF REUs, as well as the Goldwater scholarships. I was the recipient of the Goldwater scholarship, which is, there's a competition pool of about 5,000 students nationally, and they award the scholarship to about 400 of those applicants. And it is the highest award that you can obtain for STEM undergraduates, so science, technology, engineering, and math undergraduates, with the intent on pursuing a PhD in their particular field. And so the Honors College was actually extremely critical for this application, since Ms. Laura Clippard walked me through very well all of the steps that were involved in the advising process, and it was quite extensive. I think by the time I submitted the final application, it had been reviewed and revised probably 13 or 14 times by Ms. Laura Clippard. And at the time, she of course had to be on leave for surgery. So it was quite she put up with me, and I'm quite happy for that. But other than the Goldwater, I was also the recipient of the DAAD RISE. DAAD in German is the German Academic Exchange Commission. And so they wanted to, the Helmholtz Institute in Germany wanted to fund me to study at that institute and research the conversion of chemical waste materials into highly energetic materials, fuels, basically. And so I was very excited for that. Of course, around this time when I was receiving these various things, the pandemic happened. And when it first happened, I sort of, I dismissed it. I was like, this is probably not that bad. There's only 300 cases in Germany at the time. 2 weeks later, it was like 3,000. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't great. So I was like, okay, well, fortunately, I received 4 offers from the research experience for undergraduates from 4 different universities: the New York University, University of Buffalo, University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I guess it was only 3, so only the 3. And so my backup, of course, because NYU was the best sounding out of those, I was like, well, I guess I'll just go to NYU. I mean, it can't be bad in New York, right? Well, that ended up being the epicenter of the United States. So I lost all of those opportunities for the summer, not unlike others here, I'm sure. And so in the interim, I had heard through the undergraduate research experience and creative activity grants that there was going to be an initiative known as the Blue Mars Initiative. And I've been quite active in research since the spring of my freshman year. I'm a junior currently. And so with my computer science background, I was like, well, if something gets canceled in the fall in person, I think it'd probably be best to do something that I could perform remotely. And for that, the Blue Mars Initiative, my particular project, is to use machine learning to sort of predict the weather on Mars, basically. And this is something that has never been attempted, and that's a very watered down explanation of it. But it is something that's never been attempted out of the 400-something Mars Science Laboratory papers NASA's Mars Science Laboratory, which has put out 400 papers regarding Martian research, and none of them have had anything to do with predicting Martian weather, probably because it's a little crazy. But that is what I do now, and the Honors College has really been the catalyst for almost all of these activities. I would not have known about the research opportunities at MTSU had I not received one of the many emails from the Honors College about seminars and workshops and all of these different things that can help you get exposed and get involved to MTSU's opportunities. And as far as I'm aware, those are only available to students who are within the Honors College. And of course, this has just been something that's been critical for both my academic and personal growth. For the sake of brevity, I think that's how I will conclude. So
Very good. Thank you. Thank you a lot. I should mention our very first Goldwater recipient was Taylor Barnes, Mary's son. And I think that was under Dr. Mathis. So we got a pretty good string here of people who have gotten them, and we're real proud of all of you.
John, before we go on, I will hope, let's say, that Jared will go back to his high school and spread the word that MTSU is really a terrific college and that the Honors College there offers so many opportunities.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that, because I was actually planning on emailing my former principal there and seeing if I could set up something like that, because I agree that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Very good.
So Jared, this is Mary Lee Barnes, Taylor Barnes' mother. Congratulations on the Goldwater.
Thank you.
I remember how terribly excited we were when we found out that Taylor had won that scholarship and award. And it was a blessing to us. And I think it was the jumping off point for him to go on and win other scholarships and awards. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I received the call from Miss Clippard while I was picking up dry cleaning with my mother. And when my mother heard Miss Clippard say that I had won it, she started screaming and jumping around. So that was very fun. But yes, very, very exciting.
Yes, the same thing happened. I received a phone call and there was lots of screaming.
I don't know if any of you have seen it, but there's a really precious little video out of the two scientists at Stanford who got the Nobel Prize, I guess in economics, I believe it was this year. And they show the guy 2 o'clock in the morning, he's knocking on his neighbor's door and saying, "We just won the Nobel Prize." And the guy's saying, "What?" So hopefully there will be others that will follow. Hanoun is next, and she's in religious studies and global studies.
Yes. Hi, my name is Hanan Biana. I'm a senior at MTSU, and I'm double majoring in religious studies and global studies, as Dean Weil said. I'm involved with a couple of things on campus. I'm currently working at the Writing Center as a tutor, and I'm part of the Religious Studies Association. But I'm also an honors student, which is kind of why I'm here, and how they've opened a lot of doors for me and given me a lot of opportunities. When I came to MTSU, I had kind of two things in mind. I didn't really know what I wanted to major in. In fact, I changed my major 5 times, which is normal. But I knew that MTSU had a lot of programs that I was interested in. And also, like Hannah said, the study abroad opportunity. So I was like, why have to study abroad at least one time? It'd be a shame not to. So when taking my honors classes freshman and sophomore year, even though I didn't really know what I wanted to do, I felt that my classes were really engaging in trying to answer that question and kind of figure out, what do I really want to do? What do I want to kind of contribute in, wherever I go? So a major event that kind of helped in my decision of what I wanted to major in was when I studied abroad. I went to Japan twice. I went once last year for 2 weeks, and I loved it so much that I was like, I have to go back. So as soon as I got back from that 2-week trip, I was like, I want to go for a semester. So I actually went this past spring to Japan as a full honor student, and so a full-time student. And so both times when I studied abroad, the Honors College was always accommodating with scholarships and grants. Sorry, the phone's ringing and I can't reach it, but just try to ignore it. But both times the Honors College was so accommodating with grants and scholarships, similar to what Hannah was mentioning. Shout out to Miss Clippard. I met with her in the previous slides in the presentation. I won the bridging scholarship that was actually really competitive. I didn't know that, but I won out of like hundreds of people that applied and only 20 people got it. But I wouldn't have gotten that scholarship if Miss Clippard did not tell me about it because I didn't even know it was there. And it helped me so much. And to think that I would, like, the idea of not going on my study abroad is insane to think about, because it helped me so much in like motivating me in what I wanted to do. And so when I came back, I was like, I want to go to grad school, and I want to major in peace studies, and I want to, kind of give back in working with nonprofits and intergovernmental organizations. Hopefully one day, the big dream is to work at the UN, but we'll have to see. But another experience that also impacted me greatly was being published in Scantia, the journal that the Honor College has, and I received the Dean's Distinguished Award for my publication. And so I didn't know much about the publishing process. So my collaboration with Scantia was really eye-opening and kind of seeing the behind the scenes of academia, and kind of that the editing process was really fun, and actually felt really nice to kind of be acknowledged for my work, and kind of have that great kind of critique and conversation with the editor. And so when I won the Dean's Distinguished Award, I felt very, very honored, and I just felt really nice to be acknowledged. And it was such an amazing thing of like, oh wow, like to see a physical kind of representation of you doing a good job. And then from the Honors College, they encouraged me to also branch out and say like, hey, don't just stick into just the academics. There is a lot more that you can do. And that kind of led me to do Collage, a creative journal, which was a unique experience for me because I am not a creative person. I don't really do poetry and arts and creative writing, but I really felt encouraged to do so. So having kind of the collaboration with the literature reviewers was really, really fun. Even though I didn't understand a lot of the stuff about prose and poetry, having that kind of interaction was really eye-opening, and I am so grateful for everything that the Honors College has provided me. And yeah, it's really expanded my thinking, and I've had great mentors and staff that have always encouraged me to go outside the box and never just stick into one place. So.
Dean Vile, I think you're muted.
You're on mute.
Did I do that, or did other people do it to me? Next is Molly. Molly is our Centennial Scholarship winner that's financed by the Midgets. So she's next. Molly?
Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Scott. I'm a senior in electromechanical engineering technology, and I'm a minor in philosophy. I've been involved with Phi Kappa Phi, Omicron Delta Kappa, and the Society of Manufacturing Engineers on campus. And some of my favorite things to do are computer programming, working with electronics. I really enjoy working with music, and I'm fascinated by just all sorts of different aspects of geoscience, but I just really love learning on my own time as well. So basically the reason that I chose MTSU is I had a couple close friends that were in the Buchanan program who just really, really enjoyed it, and they recommended it to me. They said that they really loved having small class sizes and being able to go extremely in depth into just a huge variety of different subjects. And that's something I really wanted for my educational experience. I originally came here as an audio production major, but what I found is that my favorite thing about audio production was really the problem solving aspects and getting to work with electronics. And when I went to the student organization fair, I found that there were a bunch of different organizations on campus that worked with different aspects of engineering. And so I joined one of those, and I fell in love with it so much I ended up switching my major to engineering technology. And I had a similar thing happen too because of the Honors College. I never really considered myself being all that interested in philosophy, but I took just an excellent philosophy honors class that completely changed my mind, and I loved it so much that I ended up taking on an optional minor in it. So I've been heavily involved with the Society of Manufacturing Engineers for the past 3 years. I started out as just a general member where we'd build robots to go compete at a national competition, and they would do different things like they'd combat each other or you'd try to knock an opponent out of a ring. So it was a whole lot of fun. And I ended up loving it so much that I was then a team leader for the next year. And so I led a team of about 6 people. And then after that, I ended up being the president of the organization, where we had about 60 people in total. And it was really great because after doing all that, I was able to take a lot of my leadership experience and get to apply it to more purely academic focused organization. I've been a member of Phi Kappa Phi, but I've gotten really involved, especially in the past semester. And I'm working as a student VP and the president of our newly formed student council. And it's been a whole lot of fun and just an excellent experience so far. Another thing the Honors College has really done for me that I don't feel like I would have gotten to do otherwise is I've gotten to be involved in a lot of research. There's obviously the honors thesis, and for mine, I applied some of what I've learned through my engineering courses and through the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, and I built a sumo robot that it basically has to push an opponent out of a ring fully autonomously, so you have no control over it and you just have to program it yourself to do all of this. But over the course of about a year, I built this and I was able to successfully defend my honors thesis this past semester. And also, I just really want to take a moment to thank Dean Weil and Ms. Laura Clippard for all their help, because this past summer luckily they were able to do it all virtually, but I was able to go to a research experience for undergraduates program where I got to work with NASA and the University of Alabama in Huntsville. And I've always been interested in atmospheric science and geoscience, and it was wonderful to get to apply engineering concepts to another field of interest. And so what I was able to do is work with them there to build a website and a whole system that allows them to monitor in real time some of their atmospheric readings they take of the ozone in the atmosphere. And it's great. I was able to take all this and the poster presentation we did as a part of this research experience. And I recently heard back that I'm going to get to present at the American Geophysical Union, which is an international conference for geophysical scientists. And I've also applied to the American Meteorological Society conferences as well, but their deadline hasn't posted, so I haven't heard back. So basically, just to summarize, the Honors College has helped me just profoundly by giving me a really well-rounded educational experience and letting me participate in all these research experiences that I'm not sure I would have gotten to have anywhere else. And really, one of the largest things that I've really gotten from this is that I really just want to take a moment to thank Mr. and Miss Midget and Mr. Martin for their scholarships, because I don't think I would have gotten to finish my college degree or continue studying here if it wasn't for the Gwaltney Centennial Scholarship and the Paul W. Martin Scholarship. Because I've just had a whole lot come up personally that would have, I wouldn't have really gotten to finish or do any of this if it wasn't for the funding. So I want to thank everyone for that. But so my goals for the future, I'm really hoping to do a PhD.
I'm sure I'm speaking for Don Midget, but you make us all proud. So no, we're thankful for what you're doing.
Thank you. But my goals for the future, I'm hoping to continue on to a PhD. I'm looking at a couple different schools, both in the U.S. and internationally, but obviously a lot of that is going to depend on the COVID situation. But I'm really hoping to do something involving machine learning applications and remote sensing, because I feel like that would be a really wonderful blend of the engineering I've learned so far with atmospheric science or potentially geoscience, just depending on which direction I want to take it. But really getting to do all these experiences has shown me that I want to do research professionally. Sorry, were you going to say something? I think you're muted, Mr. Baum.
There we go. Okay. Did you have more, Molly? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm all done.
Okay. Well, we always try to have at least one performance as part of our presentations, and I already told you that Dale is going to wind us up here, and then we should have a few minutes that you can ask questions of any of the individuals that have talked. So Dale?
All right. So before I begin, there was a question in the chat, and I guess I didn't really go into that side of about myself, in that I would like to go back to Oklahoma. I'd like to move back. My goals for my studio, or one of my studios, which I'd like to open, would be perhaps a partnership or working with grants, things like that, to provide a studio in a place that artists in Oklahoma that can't afford going to larger labels, a place for them to be able to record and to hear their music for the first time done professionally. That's part of one of my goals, and Oklahoma, well, of course, since that is where I'm from, but also because there's very few outlets in Oklahoma for that kind of creative expression, even though there's art everywhere in Oklahoma. That's Oklahoma's full of art and full of music, but there's very few places to express it. So that's kind of why I'd like to move back to Oklahoma for that. But as was requested about my thesis, I'll speak for a moment, and then I'll perform you a song. My thesis is in the progress. I plan to defend it this spring if all goes as intended, and it's about influences on Delta blues. This whole idea spurred from a PBS documentary that they published a year ago spring. And in it was called Rumble, the Indians That Rock the World. And they go over different natives throughout American history that have had influences on popular music. And one of those characters, which I'd never heard of before, was a man by the name of Charlie Patton. Now, Charlie Patton, he was of mixed blood, and he was Choctaw from Mississippi, from the Delta. And he really became Delta blues's first superstar. Whereas every other bluesman of the day was performing in, house parties and juke joints and just wherever. And people would just, if they happened to be there, they'd listen. Charlie Patton, however, was the first one that really people would travel to go see. He was known, he was a name. He later went on to record at Paramount Records. But anyway, his style was different. His style was different. And I believe part of that difference comes from his Choctaw lineage. And he's really the one that, in fact, he's called the grandfather or the father of Delta blues. He came along long before Robert Johnson. He's the one that trained many different people, like Howlin' Wolf. He worked with, and Muddy Waters as well. He worked with Son House. He worked with Tommy Johnson, things like that. But I believe what separated him and what made people want to go see him, and what helped influence blues as it progressed through time and as the genre continued to evolve, was his tribal influence, his tribal heritage. I believe is part of that influence on him. And having grown up going to Chickasaw stomp dances and listening to the music and being involved my whole life in the tribe, I believe I can hear some of those similarities. And so my thesis project is writing and recording songs that try my best to mimic and to show and showcase the differences and the similarities between Delta blues and traditional Muskogean music, which is something that most people have never heard. In fact, for many years, for about 80 years, singing and dancing those songs and dances was illegal throughout the United States. So it's something that kind of went underground. But thankfully, it's something that's been preserved and something that we still practice oftentimes in Oklahoma. As it's no longer illegal today, I should say that there. Mm-hmm. But I believe that, like I said, that there are some similarities between these two styles. So I've attempted to write some songs. Delta blues was not the genre of music that I was used to writing or playing. It's new to me. So that has been a challenge in this thesis project of trying to to learn the genre and write it at kind of the same time. But without further ado, this song is the most recent song that I've written for the project. And in fact, I've never performed it for anyone, so this will be a first today. It's called Fochushache, which means Duck River. Fochushache, Fochushache, Okayopili. Amihoa in Shakaniache. Amihoa in Shakaniache. Kadakise kopama ilbakalale. Fochushache, oh, Fochushache, Okayopili. Yagni momakat, obika. The momakat, obika. Oh, sarukaina, ikanalo. Fochushache, oh, Fochushache, Okayopili. Yakuke.
Hey, Dale, we need a beer with that, man. We need a beer too. Good job.
Yakuke, thank you. Thank you.
So why don't we got at least 10 minutes here that you can ask questions if you would like of one or all. I think the one question maybe that some of you didn't address, some of you did, was the impact that COVID, your perception of how the university has handled COVID. My own perception is we've done a pretty good job. And I think a lot of us, when we started the semester, were very unsure whether we would still be here at this point. And as far as I can tell, most people on campus have been very religiously wearing their mask and keeping distance and doing the things that they need to do. So ask your questions. Ask away.
John, a comment on the COVID?
Yes.
I was on the reopening task force for Dr. McPhee appointed me.
Mm-hmm.
The last statistic I saw as a result of the proactive approach of the university was that MTSU had about 55, 60 cases. UT has over, with a similar student population, has well over 2,000. And last I heard, they had over 500 in quarantine, which is very difficult for UT because they have to pay for hotels off campus. They did not go to the 50% occupancy in the dorms that MTSU did. But if MTSU has to quarantine, the students can stay in their own dorm room, which makes it a lot more comfortable for them and certainly more affordable for the university. But a similar size population, and UT did not do what MTSU did, and as a result has had a much poorer experience for its students in the fall semester. MTSU really got on top of it, and frankly, it surprised me. It was the meetings were oh God, the meetings, but it seems to have worked out. So that's all that I know about the COVID.
Any specific questions for the students?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Joe Olmstead here. Just very impressive as usual. You know, I'm a student myself at MTSU, and you set the bar very, very high. I'm not sure how I'm going to succeed there, but I'm trying my best. With that, I've asked a few people just what you're doing and stuff. I'd like to interact with you a little bit. One, Dale, the reason I shared my question with you is you're looking at being an entrepreneur with your music and what you have going on. And back in Oklahoma, just happen to have a friend there that is director, CEO for the Seminole Nation, and doing a lot of entrepreneurship and stuff. And I think I would like to connect you with him, see what you have to offer him, because they're always looking for bright minds and new opportunities. So part of that is really was impressed with your music, but I wanted to know why I threw that question out there. I wasn't sure where you were going with that. So let me see if I can help you with that a little bit. And a couple of the others, I sure appreciate what everybody else is doing. I'm myself advocate for MTSU and the honors program. I do whatever I can to promote this also. Let me just share an idea with the others is something I've started with the business school is developing a mentoring program with some community leaders that have been very successful. So it's apart from academics. It's singularly mentoring of those at the graduate level, or I think this could be developed. That had been something I'd written my thesis on and did a lot about, but they have started that at the graduate level in the business school. And I think there's a lot of success because my friend developed a $1 billion business in 3 years. And I didn't want him to retire and that knowledge not be used or no longer used. So I thought I needed to connect him with the business school so they can still continue to pick his brain and he can do that. So just sharing possibilities of how the community can be used with that talent that we have in the community for some of these great scholars here. If we could connect them through the model with the business school that they are developing, just to throw that out there.
Very good. Joe, if you'll send us something, we can send that forward to Dale for that contact. Very good.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Yes.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, June. June?
Well, I just wanted to say how very impressed I was with all the student presentations, that the variety and the depth and the opportunities that you young people are facing. You give me hope for the world. And believe me, we all need a little bit of that right now. So thank you.
Paul?
Well, amen to what June said, but I have a question for all of the students that are participating. Your experience at MTSU was hard fought. Dr. McCash, Don Messier, they can tell you that in the early days of the program, the academic hierarchy at MTSU opposed honors education because they did not believe that high ability students deserved the opportunity to further advance, that it was more important to preserve the resources of the university for the education of the bulk of the students. As you may or may not know, every professor that you have has been given to the MTSU honors program at some cost to their own department. They don't get as much money when they're teaching you because it's all based on head count, not on results. So because of that, and because there were foresighted individuals, Dr. Messier, Dr. McCash, and others, that believed in the opportunity for high ability students to get an affordable education at a public institution, they fought those battles very, very hard. But even today, it's still a battle. Not so much as prejudice now against high ability students, but in terms of economics. The cutback, the small cutback that the university had in the fall semester disproportionately impacted the honors program because the honors program has a higher percentage of its budget that is not flexible. And if you're in a department that has 100 professors, you simply lay off an adjunct and you balanced your budget. The honors program does not have that luxury. Because of its friends and people who believe in the kind of education and opportunity that you are receiving as students in the honors program, every single person that you see on this picture that's not a student has given money or otherwise things to the University Honors Program. They have contributed back, as June says, in the hope, in the belief, in the faith that the future can be a better place for us all with the ability to educate your generation in the ideas of reason and science and opportunity. So I ask you, since you are benefiting by this and will have greater opportunities in whatever your next evolution turns out to be, will you give back to the University Honors Program at some point in your lives? My first donation, just so you know, when I graduated from MTSU was $100, and it was to the university's honors program. And at that time, that year, it was the largest single donation they received, other than what Dr. McCash gave when she was the dean, which wasn't even a dean at that time. It was something, she didn't even have the title of dean. So I ask you, everybody says your generation is self-centered and you don't really care about anybody but yourself, and you wish all us old people would die so you'd get our money. All of that. How do you, being the recipients of philanthropy, how do you feel in your own philanthropic ideas about returning some seed to the ground from which you've harvested such a wonderful fruit?
Anyone game for that? Let me make an initial comment that, you know, the fact that we have fairly recent graduates on our board is itself partial testimony to the fact that people are giving back. Do we need to hand out pledge cards? Go ahead.
I mean, I can speak, I'm a senior, and I would love to do that, particularly with study abroad opportunities, because I have benefited so much from the help that I've received to study abroad. And I would also like to join the U.S. Foreign Service. That's what I'm pursuing. And they've had guest speakers who were a part of the U.S. Foreign Service who come to speak at MTSU. So if that is something that I'm able to accomplish in my life goal, I would love to come back and speak to other students about joining the U.S. Foreign Service and how I went about that and the different opportunities there. So I'm definitely very interested in doing that.
I agree with Hannah, and I'd basically like to echo the same sentiment. I mean, other than monetary donation, which is something that could come later, of course, as our financial stability grows as adults. You know, I would love to return and particularly help with students who are applying for national fellowships, because I know I have a lot of experience with that, and as I'm also an assistant literature editor currently for Collage, and so what I find is that many students who are in science, technology, engineering, and math, what I find is that many of them are, while they are technically skilled, their communication and writing skills tend to be lacking. Yeah, I know Paul, Dr. Martin is laughing. But yes, and I think it's a serious problem, and I would love to help students in the future hone these skills, because they're critical, because no one is going to fund your research if you cannot communicate to them that it is worth funding. And this goes for every single aspect of life. And I think that a lot of young STEM undergraduates need to understand this, because outside of technical skills, you have to have more than just that. You cannot operate strictly on your ability to solve complicated mathematical equations or program or whatever. So yes, I plan to do that.
When we founded the honors program, as it was in 1973, almost 50 years now, hard to believe, one of the arguments that I tried to use was that it was the honor students who would succeed in life and who would be able to, and who would give back. And just to reiterate what Paul Martin said, he was our first honors graduate from the honors program at MTSU. And okay, his first donation was $100, but eventually he and his brother donated the money that was the challenge for the Honors College building. So thank you, Paul, for that. And he made my prediction come true, and I really appreciated that. So I don't expect everybody to donate a building, but just keep us in mind when you're.
I need dorms now. Dorms next. Think dorms next. Honors dorm. That's what they need.
Yeah, dorms.
Any other questions?
Well, very.
A round of applause to our students. I really do think they did a great job. And so we have about 10 minutes left, and I'm gonna keep it at an hour and a half, because I've been through enough Zoom meetings. Probably will never do another one after COVID.
John, Laura has her hand up.
Okay, and I can't, for some reason, she's not on.
I was clapping, so.
Oh, okay, very good, very good. Okay. Do we have any just general questions that people on the board would like to know, either from Philip and I, or from Philip and me, or or the students before we leave?
I do, John. Just one of interest, actually, being we are growing at a phenomenal rate in this area. Nashville is now the 24th largest city in the U.S. What's projection? What do we see with again, going back to recruitment, with that amount of people coming to this area? How is MTSU going to be affected, and what do we see out in the crystal ball there? Just any idea?
Again, I think this next year is going to be difficult all over the country. The projections are that enrollments are going to be down 5 to 10%, just because, people are taking a gap year, and I think where we'll have something of an advantage is, and the students may differ with me here, but my impression, and certainly what I've tried to do in the Honors College, there are some students who don't feel safe on campus. They're high risk, and there are opportunities for them to take classes online. But I think most students who want to find on-campus classes are able to do so. And I think that is going to set us apart from, colleges that either have not been able to maintain it on campus. So we'll see. Long term, I'm sort of like you. You would think that that we would be in a good position. I think geographically, that has been our salvation in many ways over the past 2 decades. When I came to MTSU, I think there were about 14,000 people here, and now it's up to about 22,000. We've been higher, of course, for a time. But we have, we've been able to raise our standards somewhat as this has happened. And, one of the things that I continue to stress, as June did earlier, and I know Phil did as well, is, that particularly if you saw those, retention rates that we have, when you get an honor student here, they're far more likely to progress get through in 4 years, graduate, and, often go on and, make us proud like Katie and I don't see Tandra's disappeared off my screen, but, a lot of our recent graduates have. And I do think, I should add, I do think Paul is right. I personally wish we had more on-campus housing. We can't require students to live here because we don't pay for room and board, but I think it's really enhances. I know Katie was in a sorority when she was here, and I think the more you're on campus and the more activities you're in, I think the more you identify with the school when you graduate. So that's something certainly, and I know many of the deans feel as I do that, this would really be good if we could increase the number of residence halls.
Dr. Vile, we used to have the Honors College dorm, the Honors housing. I know
We
that
still do.
building. Okay.
Well,
Where are they?
Yeah, Lions Hall is the one for honor students. The students who are there, and so I don't know if any of you are, but they routinely tell me they like it because it's quieter than other dorms or residence halls. The only disadvantage, the only thing that would really be sort of transformational is if we had something a bit closer to the Honors College. It's the other side of campus, and so we can plan some events there, but we can't just walk over and have an event or have an event there and here sort of at the same time. But that is still an option for students. And I need to say something here about to Reiko, because I see that she's rejoined us. I hope Samuel is here. Let's see, have we admitted her? See if I can. Samuel, I think, has been one of our most faithful board members. He's been to the last 4 or 5 board meetings, and if you saw our last picture, he's sitting there by her. So I hope he's had a chance to. Okay.
Just a quick follow-up again, Katie. I think, not putting pressure on you, but I hope you're watching this grueling process this week of a Supreme Court nomination, and that would do a lot to promote MTSU too, just to let you know down the road here. So I've got my eye on you still. We're talking, so.
Thank you, Joe. We'll take them one at a time.
Can I say one more thing? This is not a question again, it's a comment. I just want to say what a great staff you have, John. I hear more compliments from the students about people on your staff than I normally hear from any department.
Yes.
So wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very blessed. My wife constantly says, if you think you're going to retire and I'm going to do for you all the stuff they do, forget it. So.
I also recently wrote you an email in which I recall saying, not only are honors students smarter, but I think they're also more attractive than any other.
I did say that, and I would agree. Oh, there's Samuel. Okay.
What happened to me?
Well.
You want to say hi? Hi.
Hello. I think you're one of our most faithful board members. We really appreciate having you here today. Did you get to hear our music?
No.
Okay. Well, I think Susan helped me out with this, but I think that our intention is to send the program, and we may even split them up so that you can go to each individual student, and listen to their presentations. Is that right, Susan?
I'm gonna try.
Okay, good.
It goes without saying, and therefore I'm going to say it anyway. Hope everyone will exercise their franchise, get out and support your candidate.
Absolutely.
We have a very important election, and I know everyone is concerned about that, and we'll get out and do their part. We've only voted once so far, but we're looking at, how many times we can do this thing. But anyway, encourage everyone to get out and exercise their franchise.
Already done it, yeah.
That was the Chicago slogan, right? Vote early and often. In fact, and it continued, if I remember, even after death.
My father's been voting absentee since he died in '85.
Very good. Any other comments? thoughts, questions?
They're just kidding, Samuel.
Yeah, okay.
Samuel, they are just kidding.
Yes, just kidding. Okay. Better make that clear.
Really good job with the meeting, John, and your staff.
Thank you. I had a lot of help, as you can probably tell. Speaking of the hearings, and it didn't seem to bear relation to anything, but Lindsey Graham at the conclusion of the third day of hearings brought to mind a country song whose title was something to the effect that my wife left with my best friend and I sure do miss him. So anyway, you never know what you'll learn at a congressional hearing. Any other comments? I'd sort of hate to end on that, actually.
Mary Lee, if you could send us a picture of Taylor and Sydney and the baby, we'd love to use it in our next magazine.
Absolutely.
Will do.
Everyone be safe.
Take care, guys. Good to see you all.
Bye. Oh, I have one more thing. Just so some of you, the board probably doesn't know this, but Marcia Powers, who does our magazine, is going through breast cancer. She was just diagnosed recently and has had one treatment. So please keep Marcia in your prayers.
Yeah, she has had previous radiation, so the only thing she can have is chemo, and she has a sort of the super dose because they don't have a backup plan here. So she's been out, about a week or two, but she's, still corresponding with us, and so far seems to be doing well.
Give her our best wishes, please.
We'll do it.
Absolutely. Give her our best. She's a pillar. She's a tiring person.
Precious to us, for sure.
Great to see everybody.
Good to see you all.
Hello.
I miss you all not being here and us having
Yes.
a nice lunch together.
Oh,
I tried to get Dr. Vile to take us out to lunch now, and he said no.
Can we all go out and get COVID together? Not happening. Okay.
Can't you call in pizza, John? Goodness
Well, I
gracious.
guess we could.
Well, we're having pizza next week because we won the best department float in the MTSU Shoebox Homecoming Parade.
That's right.
Yes.
You have
And
a picture?
Sandra and Susan and probably
Judy.
a couple others all participated in that and really did do a great job.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Good to see everybody.
Everybody, thanks again. God bless. Stay safe.
Thanks, students. You did a great job.
Did a great job.
everyone.